again. Welcome. Still GTV Breakfast everywhere. Follow us online to get the latest news and all the tips. It's now time with the Minerals Commission, and in our previous episode with the Minerals Commission, we started a discussion on gender mainstreaming and the elimination of child labor in mining. Today, we are going to focus on the deliberation on the minerals and mining, the local content and local participation regulations 20 LI 2431, with emphasis on publication of the new procurement list. That's in the 4th edition. And we are delighted to have the CEO himself of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Martin K. Ayisi, in studio for this discussion. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Do you use the motorway?
Yes, every day.
So, what do you experience when you use the motorway?
Oh, the same experience that you also go through.
Potholes?
Yes, but we told it's going to be fixed. So
we should keep our fingers crossed.
Just like I'm also supposed to fix issues in the mining industry.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's in the pipeline? Yeah. Or you're fixing it? We are going to talk about it.
In our case, it's not plans are far advanced.
Plans are working, eh?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, look, so Mr. Ayisi, let's start by way of education. What is the main purpose of the local content and local participation regulations? What is it to the person who's watching us for the first time?
Very simple. The essence of this law, or if you like regulation, is essentially to create jobs by the use of local businesses, local financing companies, and of course, goods and services. That's the bottom line.
That's it.
And then also to ensure that our people are employed. Then we don't bring people from outside to come and do what Ghanaians can do. As we get into the nitty-gritty, you realize that there are some areas, it's just a no-go area. And then also, is to provide some kind of a framework for us to be able to monitor them, because they're also expected to submit plans and co. So essentially, or by and large, that's what the law is supposed to do. Ensure that Ghanaians benefit across the entire chain.
Right.
Whether mining, whether exploration, whether goods and services, etc. So as we talk more, or we delve into the issues, things will come out properly. But essentially, it is to create jobs and ensure that there's a link between mining and then the rest of the economy. I'll give you a simple example. There's a company that makes ceramics, tiles in Takoradi.
Right.
I think around Shamai area there. They have 3,500 workers. All the 5 minerals, they use 5 minerals.
Okay.
Now what it simply means is that if these minerals run out or are not found in Ghana, they have to shut down. So you can see that if we implement this regulation or law very well, we even create more jobs than mainstream mining. Because for every one job that the mining sector creates, like the mines, you have about 3, 4, 5 support services. This is 3,500 workers. It's not a mining company, they use minerals. So once the mining goes away, that means that these 3,500 will have to be laid off. So that is it, to create jobs.
Right. So in a nutshell, after this whole education on the local content and local participation, does it mean that we'll now be able to understand why we keep saying that we have lots of mining communities and they don't look like the other communities, the other mining communities in maybe South Africa and Perth? Is after all of this, is this conversation and this debate going to end?
Well, at the end of the day, if we implement this law very well, then things should be able to work. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Right. Okay. So how often, before we get to the nitty-gritties and on the list, how often should the procurement list be revised? And when was the last revision done?
First, this is the law. 2020, local content and local participation regulations. Now, if you look at the law, it says that every year, in fact, if you look at Regulation 7, Sub-Regulation 1, it says that every year the Commission should come out with a list which shows the goods and services with Ghanaian content that have to be procured by 3 categories of entities or persons. Companies that are holding licenses to explore or mine a mineral. Those that have licenses to deal in minerals, like to export gold or maybe to refine. And then those who are into support services, let's say you don't have a license to mine, but maybe you provide contract services, etc. These are the 3 areas it applies to. Now, we are supposed to review the list every year Every year, yes. So the last review was done late last year. We met industry, we had discussions with them, it went very well, and then it came out this year. So the numbers have increased from 29 to 41. Essentially, we've added 12 items on the list.
Yes.
And you see 3 things among the 12. Some are entirely new. Some are areas that traditionally was open to everybody, but now we think Ghanaians have the capacity to do it. And then the third one is where we have also increased the local participation. Maybe we will say, look, this area reserved 30% for Ghanaians or 40%.
Okay.
We can mention examples as we go along.
Right. So, for instance, I see here on the list the number 31. We should have it on our screen. It says that drilling surface operations, into brackets, strictly incorporated in Ghana with exclusive Ghanaian directors and shareholders.
Okay. Drilling services, yes. Look, until last year, this was open to anybody. So any foreign company can come in, set up, and provide drilling services to what do you call it, mining companies.
Right.
I remember some 20 years ago when I was a young lawyer, we didn't have Ghanaians doing drilling. I mean, setting up, bringing this machinery and code to do drilling, provide drilling services either for a company extracting or doing exploration. But we saw it coming. So a few were daring, took the initiative, and today we have close to over 10 companies that are owned by Ghanaians, and they are working with the big mines, the Goldfields, Newmont and Co. They have contracts with them. Now, what is the meaning of this? It means that effective this year, if Newmont, if Goldfields, Anglo Ashanti, or any company in Ghana registered wants to give out a contract to a company to do drilling on its mineral property, it has to go to a company that is registered in Ghana, that all the directors and the shareholders are Ghanaians. So no more foreigners or no more foreign companies providing drilling, services. But these are for surface operations.
Okay.
Surface operations. I need to put that in context. Not underground.
Surface.
Underground, there is some Ghanaian participation. For now, it's about 30. So who knows, maybe years down the line, because that is more challenging, going underground.
Yeah.
A lot of technology and knowledge is involved, which we don't have that yet. Just like a few years ago, you couldn't find a Ghanaian involved in drilling. But it is a minimum of 30% preserved for Ghanaians. So with time, maybe in the next 5-10 years, technology is changing. If we have the capacity, we could as well say that, look, even drilling, whether surface operations or underground, it should be done by Ghanaians.
Okay, there's one on the list. The other one is number 32. Okay, so that still goes for the drilling. And then 33 says civil works, including construction of access, haul roads, and other infrastructure, ETCs, etc., into brackets, strictly incorporated in Ghana with exclusive Ghanaian directors and shareholders. That's number 33. Can you give us a little education on that, and which people, which companies would fall in the civil work area? Are these, if what I'm thinking is right, which we need your explanation, does it mean that you already have companies who are listed, and so when you put these new revisions out, you just pick as and when?
No. Okay. What this is how it works. First, you cannot provide any service to a mining company in Ghana, whether you're a Ghanaian or a foreign entity, without being registered by the Minerals Commission.
Okay.
You don't just get up and go to the mine. Because that's how we capture data, we see what is actually coming in by value. So, civil works. You put aside the mainstream mining that we know, digging the stuff. But, for instance, you go to a typical mine, you have a lot of structures there, offices.
Right.
You have buildings, okay? They need to put in roads and all these facilities. We are saying Ghanaians should do them. So I don't expect a foreign company to come and register in Ghana and say, I'm being asked to provide the whole road. Some of these things are not tarred. Normally the access to the where they dig the stuff. And then within the mine, so I don't know whether you've been to a typical mining community, they have bungalows and structures, administrative offices, etc. These are all civil work. So I'm expecting that any mining company that wants to put up a building, that want to construct road and do all these things, they will have to, get a contract to a Ghanaian company that is registered with the Minerals Commission. These lists are on our website, Anybody can just walk in our offices and say, look, I want to register and provide all kinds of services to a mining company. We'll run you through the list and then we'll take you to the requirements. That's it.
Simple as ABC.
Very simple.
Right. And then 34, geophysical ground-based survey and mapping, pitting, and trenching. And that's also strictly incorporated in Ghana with exclusive Ghanaian directors and shareholders. Care to elaborate on that, sir?
Yes. These are basic geological investigation stuff. Again, until recently, most of the exploration that is done, you need to explore first and then before you can find a mineral. So those basic stuff like creative trenches, you pick samples here and there. We think Ghanaians have the expertise to be able to do that. The ones that are a bit challenging that will require some capital, some money, some technology is the airborne one. Again, you can see that there's some percentage reserved for Ghanaians.
Right.
So that is number 35. And then this list is on our website. By law, we're supposed to put it on our website. We're supposed to put it in the paper. So they were running in the papers for like 3 days continuous. And of course, as people ask for them, we'll give it to them. What I want you to understand is not just we want to create jobs. But let me give you a few figures or statistics, then you can understand where we are coming from.
Ready.
You're talking about, let's say, anything more than $6 billion from the sale of minerals. Now we are saying that at least 20% of the financial transactions of all the companies should be placed with the local banks. 20%.
Right.
So you are talking about maybe $2 billion or more, and in the not too distant future, we might hit 10 billion or more when it comes to the inflows from mining, because new mines are coming up, existing ones are expanding. So we've gotten the list from Bank of Ghana, that is the locally owned banks. We've passed it on to the mining companies. So very soon I'll ask them to file a report. So if your inflows are about, let's say, $100 million, I expect that when you file your report, then we are going to check to tell me that at least 20% of that money went through any of the 9 banks that Bank of Ghana approved for us. I mean, that's the only way we can improve our capacity. Now, take contract mining. That's almost about, in 2019, the report says nearly $800 million. I'm talking about dollars, not cedis. About $800 million was spent on contract mining. Now, effective this year, we are saying that if you want to provide contract mining, open pit, that is surface mining, it has to be done by a Ghanaian.
Simple.
Do you understand that? This figure will go over $1 billion soon because new mines are coming up. Companies are expanding. So if we are able to put in measures to keep $1 billion or so staying here, that means that very soon we can also look like the PEFs, the Joburg and Co. The money will stay here, because the hard truth is this. Yes, we want foreign investment. They should come and set up. They will employ people. But whether you like it or not, they'll take their money outside. After paying the requisite taxes and paying everything that they are supposed to pay to us, dividends, whatever, under the law, he has to repatriate his profits. Okay? So if you allow foreigners to come and do contract mining, this is nearly $1 billion or so will go outside. Maybe after taking his taxes, but the money will stay here. And there are several companies now doing it with a lot of expertise. And even some of them are working in other African countries. That's how far we have come. That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to talk about plans are far advanced. Effective this year too, lubricants have been added to the list.
Yeah.
And then fuel was introduced in 2019. And you're talking about $300 million. So no foreign company can come and set up here and supply fuel to the mines. I mean, 65 years after independence, 100 years plus mining, and then a foreign entity comes here just to supply fuel to the mine. Where did we go wrong? So we stop all those things. Again, if you look at, there's one that I was happy about. If you look at item 17, it says overall and workloads.
Exclusive Ghanaian directors.
Yes, so essentially these things that the miners wear and all those.
The protective gear.
Yes, I mean, these are things that our local textile companies can do. Yes, and by the way, I want to put this on record. We don't just get up and then say contract mining effective this year for Ghanaians, or maybe 30% or 40% local participation. We do a lot of monitoring, and if there's an area we are very hard on the companies, is this particular. You make a mistake, we fine in millions, and they actually get fined. So what we'll do is that as we receive our reports, as we review the companies that work in this area, and then we look at the contract sums, we look at the jobs available, then we get convinced that, oh, now we have about 12 Ghanaian companies or 10 or 15 that are competent. They have contracts with all the big mining companies. So, hey, these are the areas that we think we need to preserve for Ghanaians. Then we add to the list. And also, we hold consultations with the mining company. We don't just get up and publish the list. We invite industry, take them through the list. We listen to them, they critique. Even some of them even came from there and said, look, we even have a capacity here. Why don't you add it? And then we'll add it to the list. So somewhere around October, November, I'll do another review for the 2023 edition. So the list may go up, or the Ghanaian content maybe may move from 20 or 30 or 40%, depending on what the reports are saying.
Right. You mentioned the level of that you engage these companies. What is the level of engagement, consultation, especially with the industry when it comes to the issuance of the updated list and how these people get on the list?
So the first thing is that we look at our reports, do the review. We are the regulators. So we get convinced that, okay, this particular item, we think Ghanaians can do it. Or we have enough capacity to, let's say, preserve 70% or 60% for Ghanaians. And then we make the list available to the mining companies. They have a chamber, they have an institution or organization that's more or less like their mouthpiece, that champion their cause. We call it Ghana Chamber of Mines. So we send a list to them. And then we arrange meetings with them. And then we'll take them through the full list. Why we are doing this, why we have added this item and the justifications. Then they are allowed to, comment and send a report back. After that, certain specific industries or companies that have issues, we arrange with them, meet them and address one or two challenges. For instance, when this list came out, the company said, oh, okay, I had this contract with a foreign company from Australia or Canada or South Africa that is doing contract mining for me, open pit or surface mining, for you to understand. We signed it last year. What is happening in the light of this new directive? Does it mean that I have to cancel the contract effective this year? I said, no. They are grandfathered. So, for instance, this company signed a contract mining, with a company for open pit, and the company is not Ghanaian. Yeah. Last year or 2 years ago, and it's for, let's say, 3 years. So sometime this year or next year, the moment it ends, that's it. You have to give it to a Ghanaian. We don't tell you who you should give it to. That's not my job. My job is to tell you that, look, I have 100 or 50 or 30 Ghanaians who are doing contract mining, who are involved in explosives. Go and talk to them. So that's what we do.
Amazing.
Yes.
Right. In closing, I know we'll have you here again next week because we have to finish everything on the list. We can't go into all. But in ending, closing remarks. It's not every day we have the CEO himself.
Closing remarks. Very simple. People should not be so obsessed about walking to Minerals Commission, either a region or district or head office, to say, give me an authorization, a license, or some kind of approval to mine. There is more money to be made in the support services. So I just told you that 2019, nearly 800 million was spent by mining companies on contract mining. Fuel, 300 million. Haulage, just to move the ore to the plant or whatever, about 80 to 90 million. So you can come and talk to us, and we'll walk you through all these things. And then, of course, get registered and then look for contracts. So we will be educating the public, for the next 3-4 months on all these opportunities. And then people can get to know what is happening. So this is where the money is. That is it. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ayisi. Mr. Ayisi is the CEO of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Martin Ayisi, and he joined us for this discussion. And today we focused on the liberation, on the mineral and mining local content and local participation. And he says you just cannot walk into the Minerals Commission and ask that they give you a certificate for this. There are proper ways to go through that. And if you go to the website, you find all the information.